Right, my little druggies. This here's Burn This Book, a real horror show podcast where us two Devotchikas, Nicole and Eden, have ourselves a little read of some banned or challenged biddy twice a calendar month. We told Chuck about its meaning and all that cow, plus why the militants and other authorities want to make it disappear from the old biblios. So all you readers out there can have a better grasp on the whole Malenki situation. This week, we're diving into A Clockwork Orange by that starry Anthony Burgess, first published back in 1962, a real classic bit of literature, that one. We've got ourselves a guest today, some Vec called Joe Skelley, videoing us from Cleveland. So Joe, my little brother, give us the old, that one is actually a bad slang, sorry. About yourself. Give us the old information about yourself and how you got connected with this particular biblio. What's your story with the ultraviolets and all that?
Oi, I was not ready for that.
I wasn't either.
But thank you for having me. Eden, that was brilliant. I can't even attempt that. Oi, me name's Joe. No, I can't. My name is Joe.
It's gonna be the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, right. That's actually how I'll do the rest of the podcast. The whole show will be like that. But my name's Joe Skelley. I was on a bonus episode with Nicole where we talked about book bans. I am from Overdrive and Libby, and I host the Book Lounge by Libby podcast. So very excited to be here and to be talking A Clockwork Orange with you today, especially going from, how I think of book bans to kind of how this was challenged by some of its own creators. But how did I come to this book? I said I wanted to come back on the show, and this was one of the options. I was like, it's time. It's time I finally picked this up. And boy, oh boy, was I surprised.
Oh, so this was your first read.
This was my very first read. I was looking entirely for a book I had not touched before. So not only did I watch the movie for the first time to prep for this, I also read the book for the first time. I meant to say that in the other direction, but
Yeah.
read the book and then I went, wow, how are they going to turn this into a movie? And then I watched the movie and I went, wow, they really just kind of did it literally. Who doesn't need some narrative voiceover in a film? So yeah. I mean,
yeah. I have thoughts about the movie. And so does Anthony Burgess. Yes, I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
But should I give us a summary of the book to start?
Yes, please.
Is that where we should go? So This is a dystopian novel about a violent teenager named Alex who leads a gang and commits crimes in the evening, only to be reformed through a state-sponsored aversive conditioning technique called the Ludovico technique that conditions him to feel physically ill at the thoughts of violence, assault, etc. The book explores themes of free will, morality, and the ethics of using psychological manipulation to control behavior.
Bravo.
Awesome. Thank you. That's like the long and short of it, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like if you haven't read this book, you could just stick with that summary and you got it.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the book with 20 chapters or 21 chapters?
So I listened to the audiobook and I got the 21 chapter, which as I was starting, I was like, oh, what version do I have? And had to borrow differently because I wanted the full experience. I didn't want to be hit with the where's the ending?
Yeah, my first time I read this book was when I was 21, 22.
Perfect time.
And perfect time. Perfect time to be appalled by by adolescent boys. And I read the 20 chapter version because I got it at a thrift store. So it was an older publication, an American pressing, or American printing. And then, so this was my first time reading the 21 chapter. And it was really fascinating because I much preferred the 21 chapter. Let's explain what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. So in the US, A Clockwork Orange was published with only 20 chapters, which effectively spoilers, I think that's what you come here for, folks,
Mhm.
but
Absolutely.
it effectively gets rid of Alex's coming to terms with everything that's happened to him and everything he chose to do, like basically the consequences of his actions, so to speak. That's like my vaguest of senses of it. And the 20 chapter version is also what the film is based off of.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So the book was originally written in 3 parts, and each part had 7 chapters. And the 21 was purposeful because it's the age of maturation.
Mhm.
And so when we get to chapter 21, Alex, the protagonist, we're supposed to see him mature and develop that like choice to choose good, to stop being like, trigger warning, a rapist, murderer, thief, just
Right.
ultra violent horror show boy,
Mhm.
to have like any sense of humanity. Apparently the publisher in America was like, Americans won't like that. They
Right.
they won't like that. They'll find it too like gloopy, too gooey, a little too corny for
A
him to
little
like,
too after school special for him to go,
yes,
oh,
to
there
dare.
are consequences and I'm grown up now.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And so they cut off that 21st chapter. And so it ends with Alex reverting back to his horrible ways, going back to doing all the awful things he was doing at the beginning of the book with no lesson learned, basically.
Right.
And it's interesting because I think it's in the 21st chapter that we also meet
An
a
old,
friend. Yeah,
yeah,
an
we meet
old.
an old droog who was 19. So I'm also like, he defeated his own structure of being like, well, by 21 you have it all figured out. And you know, of course, that was the 60s, and how much later did we figure that like, oh, 25 is when you can rent a car because your brain's done developing. So
Yep.
you know, like
Right.
none of it really works,
No.
especially
Mhm.
within the story itself, because he meets a 19-year-old colleague, former colleague, who's gotten married and either has a kid or has a kid on the way or something like that, and it
Mhm.
forces him to confront that, like, oh, I thought I'd be more than this by now. And so I guess to add to my summary, like the beginning, he loves crime, he loves murder, he gets off on it, like all of this
Mhm.
is something he does. Like, this is the dystopian part, that instead of like the challenges of some people are good and some people are bad, the world has become so much of a mess that people just would rather be violent and rob houses and assault the unhoused in the street and do whatever they wish, than like live a normal life. And he's what, 16 or 17?
Yeah.
Like, he's a high school student skipping school so he's got enough energy to stay up all night drinking hallucinogenic milk and like assaulting people like that.
Yeah,
Like,
straight
that's
up.
the thing. And then he goes to prison, and in prison, he's got this technique done upon him where, like I said, he can't commit crime, otherwise he feels violently ill. So instead of choosing one way or another, he just has to do whatever makes him like a dog to not be beaten, so to speak. And then afterward, you know, there's like a whole subplot of the like, they can't control us by our minds, so they try to martyr him, but he survives the like death, his own suicide attempt, but it was also like forced martyrdom anyway.
Yeah.
He survives the prison, like president, I guess, the man who's pushing this technique to be used in an attempt to save his own skin and stay in power, reverses the technique and lets him go back to being his old self. And he finds in that like the growth of, oh, I'm old now, this is boring, like it's not fun to beat people up and sexually assault people anymore. I guess I should just become a dad now. Like, that's how it ends. I guess I should just become a dad now.
Uh-huh. It did feel very
And what a great
sudden to
father he will
me.
be.
Out of nowhere.
It
Like,
did
and
come
you're
out of
so right. It
nowhere.
was
Yeah.
completely sudden. Like, we're rolling along, and all like I I think I could understand. I don't understand, because I think the 21st chapter is needed, but I see why they cut it, in the sense of like, it was 0 to 100 of like
Mhm.
the chapter before he's like, oh, I can yell at my mom again and not want to vomit. And
Mhm.
then the next chapter he's like, I hate my old life. I want to be a dad. Like that's truly it. Like that's truly it. Like, and then the end.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. And what a lucky wife he's gonna have. Because he
Yeah.
clearly has
Seriously.
amazing patterns of treating women respectfully and like humans.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally. He hasn't like assaulted people to death
Yeah.
on more than one occasion.
Very
Love
Mhm.
that.
cool. Very cool. I do think it speaks to the difference in American and British culture, or what was perceived as a difference, is that like the Brits would like accept that 21st chapter as like, yes, that's correct. Yes, yes. Whereas
Right.
the
One day we
Americans would
just put
not.
away our schoolboy uniform and it's
Yeah.
all over. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I don't know how real that is or how accurate that is rather. But something else that I found really fascinating was like this was inspired when Anthony Burgess, I believe his wife had been beaten up and assaulted
Mhm.
by American soldiers during World War II to the point where she had a miscarriage. And that violence was like so, I cannot imagine that feeling. And of being a spouse that can't do anything about it. And it's interesting because there's a character in the book who also watches his wife get assaulted to the point where she ends up dying eventually. And he's like the writer. He's kind of supposed to be kind of a philosopher king kind of idea in this dystopian society where he's wise, he knows what's going on. There's a political angle. Eventually, Alex meets up with him again, and he kind of takes him in, the writer does, and cares for him, realizes who he was, and then kind of uses him as a ploy for political gain. There we go. Gang.
And gang.
There we go. And it's interesting because you can kind of see Anthony Burgess in that moment where he is kind of watching from the outside and also figuring out what you do with these characters. What do you do with these boys that have harmed your life so much and literally killed someone that you love?
Right.
Where do you take that? How do you move forward in that space when you live in such a violent world? Um, and I don't know what the right answer is, but he argues that the answer is not to take away choice and freedom of
Right.
will through
I
aversion
think
therapy.
I think he also argues some level of forgiveness
Yeah.
because it is Alex's whole gang who assaults the writer's wife to the
Mm.
point of her death.
Mhm.
And in that, like, one of them dies, one of them like grows up, one of them is Alex, and then one of them becomes a cop, becomes in power because part of this whole I guess one of my critiques is that like you lose the dystopian element of this book so easily, or like you have to remind, maybe you don't lose it, you have to remind yourself so often of the dystopian nature of this, because I think the violence and some of the flashy choices overpower. I think sometimes the message gets a little muddled or gets a little lost in his delivery methods. But I think part of what do we do with these violent people? We try to reform them onto our side is like one of the critiques. What do we do with these violent people? We leave them to their own devices and the trash will take itself out. Like these seem to be he's kind of exploring all of these elements throughout the story, but the one that he proposes is the like we can't force people to change, but we can offer our self-forgiveness. Like I think the author character planning to martyr Alex, this direct like self-insert, writing a Clockwork Orange author
Mhm.
character chooses to try to martyr Alex for his own cause, and even in that it takes him back to the ability to have choice again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woof.
It's heavy.
It is. It's quite a beautiful example of a writer trying to come to terms with such a horrific thing that happened in his personal life, and then realizing what the answer is while he's writing.
I love that. Realizing the answer, what the answer is while he's going about it. This was absolutely like his process journal of just like, how do we deal with this?
Oh, it just kind of feels like that 21st chapter then becomes a fantasy plopped onto the end.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, I processed all of this, forgiveness, can't force people to do anything. So eventually he's going to get married and have kids and have a family.
I guess I have to put a bow on this present before I hand it out into the world. I will say, I don't think the publishers were right in the 60s, even though 3 Americans with our American sensibilities are like, the 21st chapter sucks. Like, that's basically what we're all saying right now. Like, I hear it. But I don't think the book would be as worthwhile without it.
I agree. The nihilism in the book is so strong. There is no purpose to anything. That's like the whole ethos of Alex and his friends. And like it's such a chaotic evil. Something that made me excited to read this book is that all this stuff that we've been reading about with like Nick Fuentes and the Groypers, they really remind me of these boys in that they do not care about anything. They're not aligned to anything except for clout. And that is all that they're calling for, you know? And so to give them some sort of like moral guide of why they make choices on the internet or why they do the violence that they do is stupid because there is no reason. It's literally for clout. And you get that from these kids in this book. Like they literally just do violence for the sake of violence and to show who is the bigger gun in the group. Like that's the point. And it's so nihilistic that I think it kind of can draw you so far down that the end brings you back into the fact that there is a point to life, that humanity, there is soul in this existence, and that our natural base does return back to that. And I think that is hopeful and helpful.
I agree with that. I didn't think about that, and I really like that concept of just like there has to be more here. I think initially I spent so long being distracted by the slang. Like,
yes,
right, yeah.
Oh my
right,
god,
horror show.
Right, horror show. I spent so long just being like, okay, we are in this. All right, here I go. That there were just moments where like the nihilism mixed with that. I was like, people read this, like people this is someone's favorite. And then I started to do like the research while listening and just kind of going like, okay, you know, Anthony Burgess is out here going like, I wish y'all didn't read this book. Like, I wish you didn't. I have better things out there. Read that instead. Or even like Stanley Kubrick going, oh, this will be banned in the UK until my death then. Like, you know, when the creators of the materials are like calling for a step away from the piece because everyone took the wrong thing away from it. It became the like missive of, I can do whatever I want because these guys are doing whatever they want. Crime is okay because blah, 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 blah. Please don't clip that. Like that.
Crime is okay because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. Make sure it's all together. No one just use me saying crime is okay. Oh no, I said it again. But I don't know. I think it's so wild to think of like people latching onto this and either book or movie and going like, this is my playbook is just wild to me.
Yeah. I think reading this as a parent too, well, I guess you don't have to be a parent to read this as well, but get what I'm getting. Get what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
But like my 5-year-old is coming home with Gen Alpha slang. And so just like
So
that
you're used to hearing this, actually.
I'm used to hearing
Those
this.
are
I'm like
my
listening to this
troops.
like, oh, this is how, this is how I'm going to hear my children talking in the future. Once they become teenagers, we're not going to be able to connect at some certain levels. And to me, reading this, it does feel disheartening to think of men and women who do advocate for these as adults, when I think Anthony's trying to say these are childish things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, children do this. Children make up words and use them and to communicate with each other. They kind of gang up on each other like this. But once you're an adult, like, you're supposed to mature. And so that I can see like the value of the 21st chapter for that, of just like, sure, it is 0 to 100, but maybe like for a teenager's brain, it's kind of has to come boom suddenly,
Right,
of just
hammer
like,
the
oh
point
wait,
home. Yeah.
I don't have to
Yeah.
sound like an idiot. And
Well, and I
six,
think it
seven,
was
6,
6,
7.
7.
Oh, you have to hear that, don't you?
Yeah.
I see the TikToks and I hold down and say not interested. I can't hear
Yeah.
that.
Not today, Satan.
Not today.
But
Every day he be testing me and
Mhm.
I keep failing.
I think too, it was really telling that in the 21st chapter, Pete, I believe that's the friend who's now matured, gotten married,
right.
and all that jazz. It's his wife who kind of laughs at Alex when he's using all these slang terms. So to have a woman kind of level or like ground Alex to be like, you're silly. Like, this is not
Well, you
real.
talk funny.
Yeah, you talk
Yeah.
funny. You used to talk like that, Pete? That's wild. Like, it was a very interesting, humbling moment for it's the first time that Alex is pulled out of his weird little world. And it's the first time also as a reader that we're pulled out of that world, because we also think that everyone talks like that. We're never given that moment that other people do not understand this language until the 21st chapter. We think that that is like the language of the future.
There's just peaks of it where
Yeah.
you see moments where that's how he gets caught by the writer character. Like, you talked like that night, and 2 years later it stands out even more because people are older. People aren't using the same slang you were 2 years ago, but like, there are small moments when he's in the record store with the younger girls. Jesus.
That was horrible.
And then the movie version, like, when you
No.
put all the context together, makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But like, even that's like the precursor of like, I can tell you're a little too old for me to be talking to by the way that you're talking to us. But it's just those peaks that once you hit the 21st chapter, you can look back and recognize those. In the moment, you don't think of them quite the same way. Like, I just think the writer is having a trauma moment. Like, of course, these words are coming back to him when he reflects, not, oh yeah, this dude's a lunatic with how he speaks.
Yeah. And let's talk about this speech. So Anthony Burgess is brilliant. He uses Cockney, so rhyming slang, which when I lived in London for grad school, and I was introduced to rhyming slang, and I still don't understand it. But I know that apples and pears means up the stairs or downstairs or something. It's
you
very
take the stairs one way or another.
It's something with stairs. It is very niche. You have to be in the club. So like, one of them was like, cutter was one for, and it's supposed to rhyme with bread and butter, but then they rhymed butter with cutter, which then made it so that it's money or something. Like, it is so, there is such a line of rhymes that you get to the end. Like, there's so many in betweens before we get there. So if you're not in on it, you're not going to know it.
Right.
And that's amazing.
There's the Cockney rhyming slang, but also the rest of it is heavily inspired from Russian.
Yes.
Because Burgess's whole point was kind of like, well, at the end, at least the youth will have learned something from this. Like, it seemed like that was kind of it. Like, they'll take away some language, and if they start using it, we're all speaking a little bit of Russian. And I think it ties into some of, like the Cold War narratives and
Yes.
the state of the world at the time, the things that were happening or
Yes.
about to happen are kind of like bubbling under the surface. But because I think that's the other tie of like, oh, we should be heavily influenced by Russia because we don't necessarily know what's going to happen right now in the world.
Yeah, I think for me, I read it with the assumption that this dystopian society, Russia somehow won the Cold War or something, that there was some sort of like
Right.
big influence because Devochka, Glazes, they all come
It's
from
like all of it. I mean, like
Russian words.
I think that's what milk is, like all of the
Malenki,
yeah.
Yeah. And so that was fun. I mean, the whole book, the slang dictionary is called Nadsat.
Yeah.
And there are people who speak it, who really love it, really feel strongly about it. So
amidst my research, I found someone on Reddit like give a whole glossary, and I was just like,
love it.
There's one on Wiktionary. And I fed that into AI in order to write that intro. But then I realized, like, wait a second, this one is a bad slang. I didn't proofread the AI.
Eden.
I know.
Now you're just training AI on NADSAT.
And let it learn. Let it eat itself and then grow up and decide that it shouldn't exist anymore.
Yep.
What did you think of Alex's love of classical music?
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, very curious about that as well.
Yeah. What do y'all think?
I know you have thoughts, Eden. I can see it in your eyes.
Oh, my thoughts. Well, I just thought it was interesting that when his friends were making fun of it or like talking over it, he got so angry. Because he's like, no, this is beautiful. And I don't know if that's because like Anthony Burgess was a composer himself and was just like, we respect classical music, even in this trashy society. Like
in this house.
Yeah. In this Nadsat speaking home. Yeah.
Brahms gets his dues.
Yes.
I love Rosalia's new album.
Oh, stream now. Like get those streams up, kids. It was so shocking though, like two moments that are seemingly pivotal in Alex's growth cycle, I guess, or like that are the next bump in his like transition through the storyline. Are he beats on his own, he beats on Dim for interrupting it and like being a hater, and that's like the spark that takes us to the moment of like, oh, we can't let him think he's in power, because that's what like starts the childish squabble that leads to the break-in that leads to him going to prison. And then in the like, oh, I can fake I'm a kid, I obviously think no one can tell when I'm lying, I'll tell them that it worked. And the only reason they actually knew that they were getting through to him during the like therapy process was when he screamed out like, you can't ruin this music for me. So it's odd that like his tells are what has gotten him in trouble seemingly every time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's even mirrored in the movie with the whole like singing in the rain, which I hate to even bring that up, but that's what he's singing in the writer's home. And then when he's back later, just chilling in the tub, decides he needs to start singing it again. And that's the click. It's not so much his language. It is again, like a musical tell. So this was clearly something that Kubrick picked on and went, I should use that too.
Something
I still have not seen the movie. I think I'm a little afraid to, but
yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
You wouldn't be afraid?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Not too much ultra violence. Oh, wouldn't waste my time.
I have, like, famously, the joke with me and all of my friends is that, like, I've never seen a movie. I've seen like 3 movies in total. And so having watched this for me is huge. Visually, it's stunning, which I hate to say that because I'm so far from being a person to be able to talk about film, but like the
No,
colors
it's
are gorgeous.
beautiful.
The set design is stunning. There are
The
rooms that would pop
costumes.
up and I'm just like, put that in my house now. So for that, like I found that like most of the time I wasn't really like paying attention to the movie. I was just like looking at what was on screen and then like reading my book on my e-reader in the corner. So you know.
Yeah, it was, I think the sexual violence, although it wasn't as
That's the
graphic
big
as you'd
thing.
see today, it is very effective in how horrendous it is. So
Yeah,
I
I think
think,
you might see it, air quotes here, listeners, worse today. Like it would be
yeah,
more destructive. But I think today you'd have one really hitting, destructive, nasty scene.
mm-hmm,
Whereas in the movie, it's still awful. Like,
mm-hmm,
and that's not even just like a general, like it's still awful. It's still shocking. But there's also multiple scenes of
yeah,
sexual violence.
yeah, and it's horrific, and like, yeah, yeah, and to the soundtrack of classical music or other music, like, so it's like there's a lot, and because the imagery is so arresting, because the colors, like Stanley Kubrick is incredible at what he does. It does leave quite the impression. So
Yeah, the colors are great. I did pull 2 reviews of the movie that just stood out to me.
please.
One from Letterboxd is from Jamel. It looks incredible. The lead gives a singular performance, and the message, to the extent that it exists, is shallow and vapid. Nonsense with a veneer of depth and sophistication. What I'm saying is that A Clockwork Orange is to 1971 as Joker is to 2019, and that felt right to me. It gave awful men the chance to miss the point, what little point there seems to be, and say, well, at least I'm not that.
Yes.
That one definitely stood out to me. And then the other is from Roger Ebert at the time. He says that A Clockwork Orange is an ideological mess, a paranoid right-wing fantasy masquerading as an Orwellian warning. It pretends to oppose the police state and forced mind control, but all it really does is celebrate the nastiness of its hero, Alex.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that. I think that the book with the 21st chapter creates
Big
some
difference.
sort of, moral something. But I think
there
movie,
is some moral
yeah,
resolution with it.
yeah.
Even if it's not like as seamless as we might like it as readers,
Mm-mm.
it gives you something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I also think the movie, it is so like, and this is what I was going to say about the classical music. There's such an eroticism with classical music, with large orchestrations, with the build up and all of that. Like, there's something so stimulating about all of that and so dramatic. And I think that those are the feelings that are appealing to Alex, and that's all we're kind of given in the movie is just these huge cinematic moments, and there's not really any character development or any sort of like growth. It's just pure like escapism cinema, but it doesn't give us like any kind of statement about what happens when you take away agency, the ability to choose, and yeah, so I don't
That's
know,
even
but
what happens in the book. Is it feels like there is. I think that's why to me the 21st chapter seems so arresting. Is that like we're just expected that like one day he goes, huh, not this anymore. Like,
yeah.
This
we
is
have
not
to
what Beethoven Fifths is about.
right. We have to fill in the gaps to go, well, yeah, growth does happen, but all of his growth was seemingly thrust upon him. The loss of choice, the return of choice, like coming to terms with everything. But that exists within the 21st chapter, and that not being in the movie, absolutely.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting, the timing of this book. I mean, we see the era of this was like very much the West Side Story era. Rebel Without a Cause was 15 years before, but it was definitely this time where we're exploring the troubled youth experience and the troubled teen problem, where society is trying to figure out what are we supposed to do with these troubled teens, and we created the solution to just lock them away in different camps and boarding schools and things like that. And so I think that this is a very real question of how do we teach morality without it being just like thrust upon a person without any understanding of choice, because I don't think society we've learned how to help kids who are struggling. And we brought that up. Like, media was all about that storyline for good or for worse during that time. And we're still kind of paying for that because we don't know how to help teenagers. And so, yeah, it's very interesting that nothing has changed.
It's very interesting.
It definitely shows that.
Yeah. And I mean, so I've been off social media, so I'm not very current on my news events. So the most current thing I have is Charlie Kirk. And a lot of his messaging is like, just get married. And right? Or I'm just gleaning the surface stuff with the...
Eden, you're taking it out of context. Just kidding.
Am I? But I don't want to. I'm just saying that I could be taking things out of context because I'm not.
Everyone says that about Charlie Kirk's everything he says. Every offensive thing, people are like, you're taking it out of context. But no, you're putting it in context. You're perfect. Don't ever change. Keep going.
But yeah, his thing is you just get married. And that marriage doesn't fix everything. In fact, it puts like everything under a magnifying glass, and then too bad for your kids having to deal with two parents who did not actually work out their ultra violence, you know? And it's just interesting that like marriage seems to be
it's the fix. It's the like
fix.
Promised land that they offer as some sort of, this will fill all of your gaps. This will fix all of the problems. It's just what you need to do. And it neglects the fact that then there are different societal expectations that are put on married people. Well, if you're married, you have to have kids. Well, what about the people who don't want kids? What about the people who can't afford them? You know, look at that. We don't have access to food-based resources in America right now. But we want people to get married and have kids. That seems smart. You know, like, we're pro-life, but no support for living beings, like.
And there's no healthcare to actually care for people who are struggling in that journey. And when we're talking about marriage, we're talking about the heteronormative expectation. And I mean, the marriages that we see in this book also, like Alex's parents, that is not a marriage I would want. And that was, we didn't even talk about their weird boarding guy.
Right.
We don't even need to, but that was strange. That was
it was so he's going to be in prison for a few years, so we'll just rent out his room and
to an older man who calls us dad and mom.
To an older man who makes us his parents, hates their son for no reason, that's for sure, but like, I don't know how the message can be just grow up and you'll become a better person by aging, but then having the adults not have any semblance of, he's a kid, he's got to learn, you know, like compassion, blah, blah, blah. Like, to have three adults sitting in a room and going, you've put your parents in a right awful state, my boy. And have none of them be like, well, you were a child. I'm glad to hear you've been rehabilitated.
And we
now
missed
what do we do with you? Yeah, right. But also, like, it's so miraculous that in the 2 years that Alex is not in this apartment complex, suddenly it's cleaned up and beautiful. Like, you know, there's so many small allusions to that. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think a lesson for me is also, like, Alex never was held accountable by his parents. And
He
by
wasn't held
anyone,
accountable
really?
by anyone.
No. And I think
Yeah.
I was watching this thing and someone was like, it was a reel of some sort. And someone was saying they're like, we need to be more comfortable making people feel uncomfortable. Like,
Okay.
was it Subway Takes? It may have been Subway Takes. I'm going to find it.
Okay.
But they were like, we need to be okay calling out our friends when they're participating in bad behavior. Like, it is okay. That is what
Mhm.
good friends do. And I do think we've gotten to this place where we will not do that. And we've come to like a morally depraved situation where things are falling apart and we just kind of watch.
It's truly
Yeah.
like, oh, well, the lines are drawn in the sand. So if you're not with me, you're against me.
Mhm.
And it gives everyone, again, this like free pass to be like, oh, you're just a hater. Like that's kind of what it becomes of like,
Yes.
there's no conversation, there's no compromise, there's no anything. It's just like, oh, well, you believe that, then we're enemies. But since we're friends or since we're family or since we're whatever, we just have different things and we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
the elephant has a seat at the elephant's not just in the room, the elephant has a seat at the table.
100%.
I'm all about calling out bad behavior, at least to some degree. Part of putting myself through college was I worked weddings, and that taught me, because I had a mother of a bride come running in, yelling at me. She came in hot, and she was saying all sorts of things, and I just looked at her and I go, "Is that really how we talk to people?" And she stormed out of the room. And she came back 5 minutes later and she apologized. And sometimes it's just as simple as being like,
Yeah.
think of how you're behaving right now. Would you want someone to know you were behaving this way?
Mhm.
Like, everyone fears cancellation because that's the only reckoning we seem to have, even though cancellations don't seemingly matter to most people that get canceled.
No.
But you know, I don't
We're
know.
not real.
Nothing is real. Everything is bad, and that's A Clockwork Orange. Like that's the book.
But if you get married, everything would be better.
If you grow up and get married, everything will be
Yeah.
better. The other thing I wanted to call out: this book has 4 stars on Goodreads.
Whoa.
Which to me seems very high. I not being a hater, but just in the like, so many books get panned, or if it's like, especially for this having an experimental writing style, in my opinion, with all the slang and like with the approach he took, this feels to me like a book that would get 3.25 because people couldn't dig into it. Like if I think of anything modern that did this, or some of the early days where more books were putting in like, here's a faux Facebook post, we're putting in some like interstitials that are interesting and exciting, I could see that getting panned in 2017 because it was doing something new and different. So I am shook to see this. I mean, like 37% of the stars are 5 stars, 36 are 4 stars. Like, it's pretty evenly split. And that's with 283,000 and 278,000 reviews, respectively, between 5 and 4 stars.
Whoa.
So, like, it's not just like a little bit, because even those 2017 books I'm, like making up in this moment would only have that many one of those total. Like, they'd be lucky if they have 200,000 reviews total and still get the like 3.25 stars. So that, I don't know, that to me just really stood out as a reader. I'm not a big Goodreads user, but part of my research always takes me to what are other people saying about it, so I can broaden my thinking.
Totally.
So
I think I would have given it 4 stars.
I think I gave it 4 stars.
So we're the problem.
No,
we are the problem.
I don't think it's a problem. I don't star rate books because it changes for me so often. Like, if I'm still thinking about it in a month, I'd have to go in and be like, well, now you got an extra star because I'm still thinking about you. This one wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think the reason why I like it, because honestly, like, the plot is whatever. I think I just really liked his writing style. I liked that it was so immersive. I liked that it forced me to like get into the world. And like, it was fun.
It does push you in.
It pushes you
well.
in. Yeah. And the learning a new language while you're in it is like, it scratches an itch in my brain, and like, once you start catching on, it was like very gratifying. But like, so I think for me, it was a fun thing to read, even though it was horrific.
Yeah, like the
Whereas-
experience is a 4.
Yeah.
But
and
the
so,
book itself might not be.
yes, that's
'Cause
exactly
I can
like
agree with that.
Yeah, if it was
Yep,
written
yep.
in a more normal way, normal is relative, but
Yeah,
I think it would have gotten a 2 probably, because I'd be like,
Absolutely.
okay, we didn't really get anything from this. These
Mhm.
characters are kind of one-dimensional. Yeah, I think the reading experience really does cloud. I'm here for the fun, okay? I'm here to be entertained.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm 1000% with you because,
Yeah.
right, if I am just looking at it objectively as a narrative, 2 stars,
Yeah.
like rounded up from 1.5, like that would be
Yeah.
it. But right, I'm with both of you on the like 4-star experience.
Yeah.
The package as a whole of like getting ready for this conversation, the way that it's written, the delivery overall. There's a movie tie-in, like all in a little
Controversial
bow.
movie tie-in.
Exactly, all
Yeah.
in a little bow. 4 stars.
Yeah.
War. Yeah. Yeah. Malcolm McDowell's son is married to Lily Collins. That's also,
Oh.
I think. I may have made that up. Let me double check.
I simply will not Google.
Why do we think it's banned, Eden?
For the ultra violence, for the good that
they
one
call it
slang,
in and
the
out.
in out.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hated that.
So gross.
That
Yeah.
slang for sexual intercourse.
Yes,
That
yes.
was so
Especially
visceral.
because in the context it was never consensual. So
No, yeah.
Very violent. Ultra violent.
I mean, I would call the publishers cutting out that last chapter as a censorship.
definitely a censorship.
And
I think
yeah, what else?
Burgess's response to it as well is part of why it's like he wants to disown it, yet it survives. The work took over all of his other books, and both the U.S. version and film lacking the 21st chapter. Like,
Yeah.
I think we could not be. I don't think we would be surprised that this book is banned because of the violent nature alone. But then I think the author going like, I'd love if someone read something else of mine instead. Makes this a really interesting conversation. We're never hearing an author go, yeah, ban my book, please.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it also speaks, I think I need to fact check this, but I believe Anthony Burgess wrote this in like one afternoon. Like it was like a fever dream writing experience, which also tells me this is probably a therapeutic in the zone vibe. And so, yeah, like this wasn't, I'm sure he doesn't consider this his greatest work. His blood, sweat, and tears. And that would bite. It reminds me a lot of J.D. Salinger. I always bring him up, but he's topical. How he feels about Catcher in the Rye, how people use it to justify political assassinations and other assassinations, like how it's just it's a book that has been really loved by really awful human beings who are doing violent things, and then and how people only look to that book when he's like, I've written other cute things. Yeah, I'm sure.
Seymour in Introduction.
Seymour.
So sweet.
So sweet.
We almost named our boy Seymour. But first, a major incident of censorship was actually a bookseller was arrested for selling the book in 1973. But then the charges were later dropped. 1976, it was removed from an Aurora, Colorado high school because of objectionable language.
That's where I live.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's mostly objectionable language.
It's the Russian influence.
Languages. Oh my god! Could you imagine?
And then, the use of no, yeah, it's the language.
It's all for the language.
It's because people probably don't understand the book.
That's so true, though. You are so right.
It's because they don't understand it.
They could not get through the language to understand the point.
Yeah. And Aurora is.
I wonder what popped up though after the movie came out. Like,
yeah. I'm curious about that too. But also, I wonder if the objectionable language is because it's Cold War era, 1970s,
Russian
anti-Russia,
times. Yeah.
or if it was just like, we need proper English in our classrooms.
I'm
You know?
always so curious because so many book bans start in schools, and it's the like I don't know. I'm like what like you were saying, right? Being in the times of like we need proper English in the classroom. I don't know.
I
I don't
know.
know.
And Aurora is interesting too because this is the only city I have insight in because I
Mhm.
live in Colorado. It is mostly immigrant community. So I'm also wondering if the teachers who
Oh,
are probably white people,
they're doing
and
the
there's
like.
and
There are too many languages against me.
yeah, and there's
Ugh.
also a history of like very conservative leadership there,
Mhm.
anti-progress. I mean, it just changed last week, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wonder if that leads to it at all,
I think
or if it literally is just people just didn't understand the book who are
I
banning it.
I always believe every time I look at a challenge that it's like it's either hate speech or people didn't understand the book. Those are like the top three. I think for the
1000%.
time it would probably be more along the lines of like didn't get it and didn't
Mm-mm.
want not English, which
Mhm.
hate that.
Yeah.
But
But I can kind of this is me justifying book banning. I can kind of understand it in an English classroom where you're trying to teach grammar, like, no matter what the school
sure.
is, you know? Like, if I was a
But
teacher, I'd
to
want my
your
kids.
own point,
Yeah.
this is the time where they get to go. Do you hear how stupid you sound? Like that is
Yeah,
why you
that's
should
true.
put that like and I'm not advocating for this, but I think this book would be terrible in a school
Yeah.
in the sense of like the actual violence and contents of this book. Not only is it
Horrific. Yeah.
upsetting, I I'm not for any book bans. I
No, me
think this is
neither.
more like a time and place situation.
Yeah.
Like I if the bans were like I'm more surprised being told that this was for language than anything else. Like,
Same.
this isn't
Same.
for violence and violent depictions. What?
S
Okay.
Same.
Why are we banning books at all? The grand question here, but like we don't
Well,
even know why we're doing it.
oh, and it just feels like they don't understand the school system at all. There's no teacher who's going to use their time to teach a book that won't be on the state testing. Like,
Right.
that
Especially now.
like,
Who's got the
especially
time?
now. Yeah, and also yeah,
Right.
beyond the
There
point.
is no one pulling out the like anarchist cookbook and going, okay, read a Clockwork Orange, and then we're gonna learn how to make pipe bombs. Like that's not what's happening here.
No,
Like
no, I
this is
could
at the very least a conversation about page to screen and like how do
yeah,
adaptations happen or
yeah,
how do we depict violence now versus then. Like if you had an AP class of students and everyone signed the consent forms and there was a strong conversation and like a guidance
mhm,
counselor present, all of the important things done. This could be in a high school. This could be a really thoughtful conversation on how we deal with violence in the media
yes.
and the massive changes today. Wow, I need to write a curriculum.
You do,
But
honestly,
like
I would sit in that class.
there's something here that you could
Yeah,
teach. But I don't know. Like I said,
no.
the being able to look at Gen Alpha and going, listen to this. This is how dumb you sound. Like, and
Honestly, if I have to
that's just
hear
my millennial ass being
ugh,
like,
someone
I don't
called
know.
me nonchalant, and I was like, "You're not using that correctly. I am not nonchalant." They're like,
I,
"Oh, you're so nonchalant, miss," and I was like, "Oh my, that is
I'm the
not."
most chalant
I
person
am
you'll ever
very
meet.
chalant. I do think that I could see teaching like a paragraph from this and
Yes,
showing how you
excerpts.
can be creative with language and
Yeah,
introduce slang and without giving explanations of it and trusting the reader to
right.
learn it. That would be a
Yes.
cool lesson of like how to write, like just a creative
That would be
writing lesson.
so
But I
cool.
would
Like,
never do the whole book in high school.
right, I can't imagine.
No,
I can't. I can think of some situations, but I can't think of
no,
the way you take the full text. I agree
no.
because, like, right,
The
I
way,
could never, in good conscience, show this movie in a high school,
oh, no.
and so like you can't pair them together. But right, there are conversations to be
Yeah.
had. I love the idea of excerpting out and going like, look at this, take
Yeah.
that, like have fun with it. But I think this is also one of those important moments that makes me think I'm always on progress. And I know we talked about a lot of queer books in our episode together. I think of My Happiness every time I go, middle grade gay exists. Yay, I needed that when I was little. I think this is another one of those moments where we go, so what books today are doing this better? So, right, you take that excerpt from A
Mm-hmm.
Clockwork Orange as the source material of look at what you can do with writing, look at how it's being done today. How would you put your stamp on it? And there's the assignment, like what
Yes.
would your slang be, or how would you incorporate texting in a book like this group chat in this book,
Yeah. Yeah. And even doing a comparison of different dystopian novels that have
Mhm.
taken out words because those words are no longer allowed in that society,
Right.
and see how they replace. Yeah, there's so much room for growth there. But I do think as a standalone book, there isn't enough beauty in the writing,
Mhm.
or like Toni Morrison's writing
Yep.
is so beautiful that you learn so much just by like
Just
being
by
in the
sitting in it.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so brilliant. And there isn't enough moral, or there isn't enough humanity that you feel understood, or that you can understand another person better or build empathy. This is not one of those community building books.
Right. There is not humanity in this book, and that
No.
is the point.
Yeah.
But right, even the dystopian tie-ins of like, how is dystopian so different? Like, it was this book supposed to be YA?
I
Like,
don't think
who
so.
was this written for?
I think it
Because
was
if
written
you
for
say
Anthony.
I think you're right. I think this was his therapist saying, write a letter.
Yeah.
And also, so many places online call this a novella. I'm sorry. There was too much in here to call this a novella.
I felt that way too, because they were like, it's such a short read. And I was like, short read? Maybe
Not if you
we're
want to
just soft
understand it.
in the 21st century, but mother of pearl, I was like, okay,
Right.
this is
And
not as short as like
no.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is a big guy.
Right. And the thought of dystopian, it is very interesting that you either have the like full sci-fi lore built world of dystopia or YA, Katniss and Friends going for it. And there is no in between.
Hmm.
There is no solid realm of like gen fic
No.
dystopian. And I think that's also where this is interesting because it's kind of like a different birth of dystopian. It's like
Yes.
a version of dystopian that doesn't seemingly exist anywhere, because this I would consider that like general lit fic dystopian that I can't place a bunch of titles in hand, but
Yeah.
some of this like birthed into the Suzanne Collins, the
Yeah.
Divergent, the like some of this translated that way. The Margaret Atwood with Handmaid's Tale, I think,
Yeah.
is like inching between the two, but
Yes.
yeah. So this is rare in that. Like I know I've been a hater. I want to give some flowers of like there is what came from
Yeah.
this, but
I think that the words, and this is how it's been described in like formal places like the
Mhm.
publisher's site and its
Yeah.
background, is near future. It's a near future
Mhm.
dystopian novel. And I think that that is critical in
Yeah.
describing what's happening, because I would say, yeah, it would be this. And then Handmaid's Tale is a little further in the future.
Right.
And then we've got
Nearish future is yeah.
yeah. And then we've got full on Brave
Yeah.
New World, or what, or like the Katniss, what is
Right.
that
Hunger
called?
Games, yeah.
Hunger Games situation, where like an entire world has been built and
Right.
transformed. Whereas like
Yeah.
this is, we're seeing the beginnings of changing
And
things.
I guess because I am so dystopian pilled, because I love a good dystopian novel, I think the lack of dystopian hit me more than I thought it would, or
Yeah,
that
it
like
doesn't
I
feel
didn't know what I was
dystopian.
walking into, having not seen the movie, having not read it before,
Yeah.
and seeing everywhere use the word dystopian. And like,
No.
oh, okay. And even when I would see near future, I'm still like, okay, fine. But I was like, so where's the, I know it's like an indictment of the police state and of of the system. And maybe there are threats that us in our age range now can't relate to, as far as like state control and like the morality battle. But I don't know,
Yeah.
were they concerned about being conditioned into, you know.
Yeah, I am confused about that too, because I would argue that this level of violence matches like all those other references I brought up, like the Rebel Without a Cause,
Yeah.
West Side Story, where it's just like there's a group of people that are
Yeah.
just terribly violent and it's terrifying. But I
Yes.
don't
When you
get the
said West Side
sense.
Story, it was so
Yeah.
interesting to be like, right, and the violence parallel pairs down because it's a musical. Like, you're not so struck by it, but there
Yeah.
are you're right, we're all snapping, but there are murders.
There are many, and there's rape too.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like it's awful. And
It's Romeo and Juliet with gang violence, which is still just Romeo and Juliet. Like,
oh my god. Yeah, I think dystopian is too is I think that they used it too broadly. I'm just gonna say it. I
or
don't
maybe
think it's fair.
today, I think today dystopian might be too niche or has too set of an expectation of
Maybe
what
so.
we anticipate.
Maybe so. I'm gonna do research though and get back to you and see if there's other
Please.
books from this era that are kind of in the same realm of like in a different universe, but like
Right.
technology hasn't influenced all the changes, because that's the big thing here. There's
Yeah.
no mention of technology outside of his like therapy, but that's just aversion therapy. Like that's
Right.
not.
Full on just aversion
Yeah.
therapy.
And
Other
so
than like the mysterious chemical that they put into his
to make him
system.
feel nauseous,
Right. Which, like,
which
okay,
I could just be like,
anti-Zofran, got it.
yeah, seriously, just literally a chemotherapy drug. That's all
Right.
it needs to be. But yeah, so I'm curious if there's other things that are not motivated by technology and the rise of some sort of
Yeah.
new thing, because that is the motivating factor in all the other
Yeah, I'm definitely
dystopian.
curious, like, what would be the curated list that pairs around this book? What all goes together? What are the read-alikes at the time? Because I think that would be very telling,
Mhm.
and it would also be interesting to see, like, where would this book have been lost if it hadn't been shopped somewhere? Like, how did this become like, what made this blow up? Like, that's the thing that
Especially in
takes
1971.
me.
Yeah,
Right. That's
'cause
that's the thing I'm lost by because as you said, this book was written for Burgess. He needed this. Love that he had that opportunity. Uh, love
love
that for
that.
him. But what got us here? Because right, otherwise this book absolutely would have been like lost to time. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's interesting about looking at what was in a similar vein at this publication moment to see like is there something that did this but better? Or is there something that was doing similar things? Because there's
Yeah.
always publishing trends now.
I'm gonna do some little research. I'm gonna do some little works.
I
And I'm
love
gonna
it.
send you quite the thorough email
Please.
later this week.
I'm here for it. What a treat.
Okay, good. Um, okay, we're gonna close. I have to jump into a meeting in 10 minutes, so I'm gonna eat something beforehand.
All right.
But Joe, I just really adore you. I think you
Thank
are
you.
just a treasure of a person. I want to come to Ohio and see you so badly. If you're
Nicole, you are
ever in,
welcome anytime. Come
uh,
and visit.
I want to. If you're ever in Colorado, you have to let me know. We
I
will figure
will.
that out. But yeah, you're giving me hope about friendship in this world of chronic loneliness and our
You can find it
dystopia
anywhere.
that
Yeah.
we're
You can find friendship anywhere. It's hiding as long as you're willing to
it's
move
hiding.
a little bit of dust.
As long as you're willing to water it. But we will close, and how we close is just by saying, Burn This Book is produced by us, Nicole and Eden, and music is written by me and performed by my dad, Frank. And that's it. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you so much for having me. If you ever want me back again to babble, I'd love to be there. And if y'all listening are interested, check out Book Lounge by Libby. I make a lot of fun content over there. Hope you
Yes.
enjoy.
Yes, do check out Book Lounge by Libby. It's so good, and he has such good guests. And honestly, it is like it's the kind of community you want to be a part of and the conversations you want to hear. So
Oh,
definitely
thank you.
listen. Truly, Joe, you're making great work. You are.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna jump into my other meeting, and I adore you, and we will talk soon.
Yes, can't wait. Enjoy your
Okay,
day.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.